Last night, Grandma Grace had a dream that did not feel like a normal dream. It started inside her own house, but the house looked colder. The hallway was longer than it should be. The lights were off, yet she could still see like the air was glowing in a dull grey way. She heard a sound first, a soft scratch like someone sliding paper across a table. Grandma tried to call out, but in the dream her voice would not come. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. That scared her more than the dark. Then she saw him, her son, Noah. Only it did not feel like her son. He stood at the end of the hallway with his shoulders tight, like he was carrying a heavy secret on his back. He held a folder in one hand. The folder looked thick, like it was stuffed with many pages. Noah's eyes were not angry. They were empty, like he was looking through Grandma instead of at her. Grandma tried to walk toward him, but her feet felt slow, like she was walking through deep water. She lifted her hand to reach him, and her arm felt heavy, like it was made of stone. Noah took a step closer. He raised the folder a little, and Grandma saw a paper on top with a bright line at the bottom, a line that looked like it was waiting for a name. Noah leaned in and his voice became a whisper that filled the whole hallway. "Just sign it," he said. Grandma's stomach twisted. In the dream, she wanted to shake her head to say no, or to ask him what the paper was. But her body would not listen. She could only stand there and stare at that thin line, like it was a trap drawn with ink. Then Noah whispered again, even softer. "Then it's done." Something moved behind him like a shadow shifting near the wall. Grandma could not see who it was. She could only feel that someone else was there watching. That was the worst part, not knowing who, not knowing why. Grandma tried to step back, but her back bumped into something hard. The front door. She was pressed against it, trapped between the door and the hallway. The folder came closer. The paper came closer. The line at the bottom seemed to shine. Her heart beat so loud that it felt like it would burst. And then she woke up. Grandma sat up in bed with a sharp gasp. Her nightgown clung to her skin. She was sweating even though the room was cool. Her chest rose and fell fast like she had been running. The house was dark and quiet. Too quiet. She listened for a moment, holding her breath. No footsteps, no voices, only the soft tick-tick of the clock in the living room. Grandma put a hand on her chest and tried to calm down. "It was just a dream," she told herself in a small voice, but the words did not help, because it didn't feel like just a dream. It felt like a warning someone had pushed into her mind, like a finger tapping her shoulder in the dark, saying, "Wake up, pay attention." Grandma swung her feet onto the floor and reached for her slippers. Her knees ached a little, like they always did when she moved too fast. She stood up slowly and walked to the window. Outside, the street was still. A few porch lights glowed. A dog barked far away, then stopped. Everything looked normal. Still, Grandma's hands were shaking. She went to the kitchen and poured herself a small glass of water. The sound of the water seemed too loud in the quiet house. She drank slowly. Her throat felt dry, like she'd been holding secrets in it. Then she looked at the family photo on the shelf. Noah was in that photo, smiling wide, his arm around her shoulders. Grandma remembered how he used to hug her hard when he was little, how he used to call her his safe place. Grandma stared at his face in the photo and whispered, "What is going on with you?" Morning came in slow, pale light. Grandma did what she always did. She made tea, she toasted bread. She tried to keep her day normal, because normal days felt safe. When Noah came into the kitchen, he looked tired. He rubbed his eyes and gave her a small smile. "Morning, Mom," he said. "Morning," Grandma replied. She watched him carefully without making it obvious. Noah poured coffee. He checked his phone. He did not meet her eyes for long. Grandma told herself not to judge him too fast. People could be stressed. People could be worried. Everyone had hard days. But the dream sat inside her like a heavy stone. A few hours later, Grandma's phone rang. The screen showed a number she did not know. For a second, she hesitated. Then she answered. "Hello?" There was a pause, a shaky breath. "Grandma Grace?" a boy's voice asked. "Yes," Grandma said, her heart picking up speed again. "Who is this?" It's Caleb," the boy said. "Noah's friend." Grandma gripped the phone tighter. "Is everything okay?" Caleb did not answer right away. It sounded like he was trying to find the right words, like he was scared that the words might hurt someone once they were spoken. Then he said, "Grandma, I need to tell you something, and please don't get mad at me. I didn't know what to do." Grandma's mouth went dry. "Caleb, just tell me." Caleb swallowed. Grandma could hear it. "I think your son is planning something behind your back," he said quickly, like he had to push it out before he lost courage. "He's been talking about papers. And signing. And an appointment. He kept saying you wouldn't understand, and that it would be easier if you just did what he asked." Grandma felt her whole body go cold. Her dream flashed in her mind. Noah in the hallway, the folder, the whisper. Just sign it. Grandma tried to speak, but her voice came out thin. "Caleb, are you sure?" "I heard it," Caleb said. "I didn't want to believe it either, but I heard him. And there was another man he talked to. I don't know him." But it sounded like they already made a plan. Grandma's eyes filled with tears she did not want. Not because she was weak, but because it hurt to hear this about her own son. She stared at the kitchen table, at the little crumbs near her plate, at the ordinary morning light. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same anymore. Caleb's voice became softer. "I'm sorry, Grandma, I couldn't keep it inside." Grandma closed her eyes for a moment. Then she whispered the truth, or more to herself than to Caleb. "Even now," she said, "I can't believe what I'm hearing." Grandma Grace did not tell Noah about the call. She kept the phone close to her all day. Like it was a small shield, she tried to breathe like normal. In and out, slow. But inside her chest, her heart still felt jumpy, like a bird trapped in a room. She washed her cup. She wiped the counter. She did all the little things she always did, but nothing felt normal anymore. And when Noah walked into the kitchen again, he smiled too much. It was the kind of smile people wear when they want you to stop asking questions. "Mom," he said in a bright voice, "you look tired. Did you sleep okay?" Grandma looked at him. She studied his face the way only a mother can. His eyes had dark shadows under them. His jaw looked tight, even while he tried to sound sweet. "I'm fine," Grandma said. "Just didn't sleep well." Noah nodded fast. You should rest more. You've been working too hard. Grandma almost laughed, but she didn't. She had not been working too hard. She had been living, quietly, carefully, the way she always had. Noah reached for the bread basket and then stopped, like he remembered something. He leaned on the counter trying to look relaxed. Mom, he said, where do you keep your important papers? Grandma's fingers paused on the dish towel. Her dream came back in a flash. The folder, the paper, the whisper. As she forced her hands to keep moving, she folded the towel slowly. Why do you ask? She said, calm as still water. Noah shrugged. Nothing. Just, in case something happens. It's smart to be organized. Grandma nodded like she agreed. That's true. Noah watched her for a second, then turned away and poured more coffee. But Grandma felt his eyes on her back, like he was measuring her. After Noah left the room, Grandma stood very still. Then she whispered to herself, Be quiet. Be careful. She went outside to feed the birds like she always did. The sun was warm on her arms. The birds hopped close, bold and hungry. For a moment, their tiny pecks and soft flutters made her feel calmer. Then she noticed something odd. The front porch mat was not straight. It was turned a little like someone had dragged a foot across it. Grandma could not say why that mattered, but it made her stomach tighten again. She fixed the mat and went back inside. In the living room, she saw it. A brochure on the side table. It was half hidden under a magazine like someone tried to cover it fast. Grandma slid the magazine away and picked up the brochure. It showed a picture of a clean building with flowers in front. The words were large and friendly. Comfortable living, daily care, safe support. Grandma's hands trembled. She did not need daily care. She could cook. She could clean. She could bathe. She could think. Her knees hurt sometimes, yes, but her mind was not broken. She flipped the brochure over. There was a phone number. There was a list of services. There was even a line that said, We help families make the right choice. Grandma's throat went tight. Families, she whispered. Or someone else deciding for me? She put the brochure back exactly where she found it. Not because she wanted to keep it, but because she wanted to see if it moved again. She wanted to know if someone was watching the table the way she was. Later, she went into the kitchen to get her reading glasses. That was when she saw the calendar. The calendar hung on the wall near the fridge. Grandma had been using it for years. She wrote simple things on it. Milk, church, doctor, tea with neighbor. But now on Friday there was a new note, written in neat, dark pen. Appointment, 11 o'clock. No name, no reason, no smiley face, just that. Grandma stared at it. She didn't remember writing it. She didn't remember agreeing to anything. She leaned closer and traced the letters with her eyes. The writing looked like Noah's, the same way he wrote shopping lists. The same sharp lines. The same tall T. Grandma felt heat rise in her cheeks, then fade into cold. She stepped back and pressed her palm to the wall, steadying herself. Okay, she whispered. Okay. One step at a time. She did not tear the page. She did not scribble it out. She simply looked at it until she could remember every detail. Then she went next door to see Mrs. Harper. Grandma carried a small bowl and knocked gently, like she always did. Mrs. Harper opened the door and smiled. "Grace, come in. You look like you've got a thought sitting on your head." Grandma forced a soft smile and walked inside. The house smelled like mint tea and lemon soap. It should have made Grandma feel safe, but even here her worry followed her like a shadow. They sat at the table. Mrs. Harper poured tea. Grandma tried to sound casual. "Have you seen Noah much lately?" Mrs. Harper's eyebrows lifted. "I've seen him, yes." Grandma kept her voice light. "Just normal, I hope." Mrs. Harper didn't answer right away. She stirred her tea slowly, then set the spoon down. "I don't want to put fear in you," she said carefully. "But I did see something strange." Grandma's fingers curled around her cup. "What did you see?" "Last week," Mrs. Harper said. "Noah was out front talking to a man I don't know. The man had a neat shirt, clean shoes, and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. They spoke close like they didn't want anyone to hear. Then they stopped when a car passed." Grandma's heart gave a hard thump. Mrs. Harper leaned forward. "Grace, is everything all right?" Grandma wanted to tell her everything. The dream, the call, the papers, the brochure, the calendar. But Grandma remembered her new rule. Be quiet, be careful. And so she nodded slowly and said, "I'm not sure yet." Mrs. Harper reached across the table and squeezed Grandma's hand. "If you ever feel unsure, you come to me. You hear? Don't carry fear alone." Grandma's eyes stung, but she blinked the tears away. "Thank you." When she walked back home, she looked at her front door as if it belonged to someone else, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Inside, Grandma went straight to her room and took her reading glasses from the drawer. She put them on, then she took them off and placed them back in the drawer again, like she was practicing. Then she sat on the edge of her bed and spoke softly, like she was making a promise. "I will not sign anything fast," she said. "Not for anyone. Not even for my son." And for the first time since the dream, her hands stopped shaking. Grandma Grace woke up early the next day, before Noah. The house was still quiet, the kind of quiet that normally felt peaceful. But now it felt like the quiet was listening. She sat on the edge of her bed for a moment and stared at her hands. They looked the same as always, old hands with soft wrinkles and small spots from the sun. But they felt different today, more alert, like they were ready to protect something. Grandma stood up and walked to her closet. On the top shelf, behind a stack of folded towels, she kept a small tin box. It was not fancy. It was just a plain metal box with a lid that fit tight. Inside were her important things, not treasure, not gold, just papers that mattered. She reached up and pulled the tin box down. The moment her fingers touched it, she stopped. Something felt wrong. The box was facing a different direction. Grandma knew this because she always placed it the same way. Lid facing out. Like a habit, like a quiet little rule. But now the lid faced sideways. It was a small change, a tiny thing. Still, Grandma's stomach turned. She held the box close and sat on the bed. For a second she did not open it. She just listened. No footsteps, no sound from Noah's room. Then she lifted the lid. The papers inside looked almost the same. Almost. Grandma picked them up gently, one by one. She didn't rush. She checked the corners, the folds, the way they sat. A few pages were not lined up the way she left them. It looked like someone had flipped through them and tried to put them back in the same order, but didn't do it carefully enough. Grandma's mouth went dry. She put the papers back and closed the box slowly as if she was closing a secret. She whispered, "Someone's been here." The house suddenly felt smaller. Grandma placed the tin box back on the shelf, but this time she pushed it deeper behind the towels. Then she stood there, staring at the towels like they could explain everything. Her mind went back to the dream, the folder, the whisper, the line at the bottom of the page, and then Caleb's voice. Papers, signing, an appointment. Grandma took a deep breath. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She made a choice. "I need real answers," she told herself, "not guesses." So she got dressed and went to the bank. The walk to the bank felt longer than usual. Every car that passed made her look up. Every stranger's face made her wonder if they were watching her. When she reached the bank, she held her purse close and waited in line. A young worker called her to the counter. The worker smiled politely. "Good morning, Mom. How can I help you today?" Grandma kept her voice steady. "I want to check my account. I feel like something is not right." The worker nodded and asked her a few questions. Grandma answered carefully. She showed her ID. She kept her eyes on the worker's hands, on the computer screen, on everything. After a few minutes, the worker's smile faded a little. "Mom," the worker said, "I see a request here for a new card." Grandma blinked. "A new card?" "Yes," the worker said, "and there was also a change request about account access." Grandma felt her face go cold, like someone had opened a freezer door inside her. "I did not request a new card," Grandma said slowly. The worker looked surprised. "Are you sure? Sometimes people forget." Grandma lifted a hand gently. Not rude, just firm. "I am sure." The worker hesitated. Then turned the screen slightly and printed a page. Grandma watched the paper slide out of the machine. The sound made her skin prickle. The worker handed it to her. "This shows the request details." Grandma looked at the printed page. She did not understand every word, but she understood enough. This was not normal. This was not her doing. Her fingers tightened around the paper until it crinkled. "What can I do?" she asked. The worker spoke in a careful, professional way. "We can secure the account. We can lock things so changes can't be made without extra steps. We can also add a note that you must be present for certain requests." "Yes," Grandma said right away. "Do that." As the worker worked, Grandma stared at the bank floor and tried not to shake. In her heart, something hurt even more than fear. It was the thought that the problem might not be a stranger. It might be her own son. When the worker finished, Grandma thanked them and tucked the printed page into her purse. She didn't fold it. She wanted it flat and safe. On her way home, the sun shone like it always did. People laughed outside a small shop. A child ran past holding a sweet drink. The world looked normal. Grandma did not feel normal. At home, Noah was in the kitchen. He looked up and smiled again, that same bright smile that did not feel real. "Hey, Mum," he said, "where did you go?" Grandma hung her purse on the chair slowly. Just out." Noah's eyes flicked to her purse, just for a second, but Grandma saw it. "You okay?" Noah asked. Grandma nodded. "I'm okay." Noah walked closer, lowering his voice as if he was being kind. Mum, there's something we should take care of soon. Something important. Grandma kept her face calm. What kind of important? Noah reached into a folder he was holding and pulled out a paper. Then he picked up a pen from the counter like he had already planned this moment. It's just a simple form, he said quickly. Nothing big, it'll make things easier. He slid the paper toward her. Grandma looked at the page. Her eyes went straight to the bottom. There it was. A blank line. Waiting. Grandma's heart thumped once, hard. She kept her voice soft. Let me get my reading glasses. Noah's hand froze. He tried to laugh. You don't need them. It's simple. That one sentence made Grandma's skin go tight. Because people only rush you when they don't want you to see. Grandma stepped back and said very calmly, I do need them. Noah's smile slipped a little, just a little, like a mask moving out of place. Grandma reached for the paper, but instead of taking the pen, she slid the paper back toward him. I will read everything first, she said, slowly. Noah opened his mouth like he wanted to argue. Grandma didn't raise her voice. She just looked at him. And in that quiet moment, Noah finally looked away first. Grandma Grace waited until Noah left the house. He said he had errands to run. He said it in a quick, light voice like he was trying to sound normal. But Grandma noticed he didn't say where he was going. He didn't say how long he would be gone. He just grabbed his keys and walked out. The moment the door closed, Grandma let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. She went to the living room and sat in the same chair she always sat in. The chair by the window, the chair that faced the street. From there, she could see the sidewalk, the trees, and the neighbours passing by. It made her feel less trapped. Grandma looked at her phone and stared at Caleb's number. She had saved it now. Her thumb hovered over the screen. She didn't want to meet a teenage boy and ask him to repeat something painful. It felt wrong, like pulling a splinter out slowly. But she also knew this was not a time to pretend everything was fine. So she called him. Caleb picked up fast like he had been waiting. Hello? It's Grandma Grace, she said gently. There was a small pause, then Caleb's voice got softer. Are you okay? Grandma swallowed. I'm holding on. Caleb, can we talk in person? Somewhere public? Yes, he said quickly. Yes, please. I can meet you. They chose a place that felt safe to Grandma. A small public spot with people around where nobody could push her into a corner. A place with daylight and open space. Grandma walked there slowly, her purse tight under her arm. She wore her reading glasses in her bag just in case. She brought the printed bank paper too, folded carefully inside an envelope. When she arrived, she saw Caleb sitting on a bench, knees bouncing. He looked younger than his voice on the phone. His shoulders were hunched, like he expected trouble to fall from the sky. Grandma approached and sat a little distance away, giving him space. Caleb looked up and his eyes were wide. I'm sorry, he blurted out. I didn't mean to cause problems. Grandma shook her head. You didn't cause them. You only told the truth. Caleb stared at the ground. I didn't know if I should. It's your son. He's older than me. And he's your family. Grandma's chest tightened, but she kept her voice calm. Family should not hide things that can hurt you. Caleb rubbed his palms on his jeans. I heard him talking. More than once. Grandma leaned forward a little. Tell me what you heard, Caleb. Slowly, no rushing. Caleb nodded and took a shaky breath. He was talking to a man, Caleb said, not someone from the neighborhood. This man dressed nice. He acted like everything was simple and easy. What did the man say? Grandma asked. Caleb swallowed again. He said things like, just keep her calm. Don't confuse her with details. And he joked that older people don't read small words. Grandma's fingers curled tight around her purse strap. She felt heat rise in her face, then drop into cold. Caleb continued, voice shaking. Your son kept saying he didn't have time, that he needed it done soon. He said you would fight if you knew, so it would be better if you just signed. Grandma closed her eyes for a second. The dream rushed back. Noah's whisper, the folder, the blank line. When she opened her eyes, her gaze was steady again. Did you see anything? Papers? A place? A date? Caleb nodded quickly. Yes. I saw messages on his phone when he showed me something else. He didn't know I was looking. I felt bad, but I looked. Grandma didn't scold him. She didn't praise him either. She just said, show me what you can. Caleb pulled out his phone with trembling hands. He opened a message screen and held it toward her. Grandma's eyes weren't perfect, but she could read enough. There were short lines about an appointment. There was a time, there was an address. There were words about papers and bringing her in. And there was the man's name in the chat, Mr. Sloane. Grandma stared at that name until it felt burned into her mind. That's him, Caleb said quietly. That's the man. Grandma's throat felt tight. Mr. Sloane. Caleb nodded. He talks like he's helping, but it didn't feel like help. It felt like he was teaching your son how to control you. Grandma sat back and took a slow breath, trying to keep her hands from shaking. Around them, people walked by with shopping bags and little kids. A normal day for everyone else, not for her. Caleb, Grandma said softly, thank you for showing me this. Caleb's eyes filled with water. I kept thinking about you. You're always nice to me. You always ask if I ate. I didn't want you to get tricked. Grandma reached out and gently touched his hand for a moment. You did the right thing. She sat up straighter. Now we do the next right thing. Grandma stood, and Caleb stood too, like he didn't want to leave her alone. She used the address from the messages, not to storm in, not to scream, just to check. When they arrived, it was a clinic building with clean windows and a quiet waiting room, a place that smelled like soap and medicine. Grandma's heart beat fast, but she kept her face calm. At the front desk, she said, Hello, I need to check something. Was an appointment booked under my name? The receptionist tapped on a keyboard. Your name, please? Grandma gave it. The receptionist looked at the screen and nodded. Yes, there is an appointment. Grandma's stomach dropped. Who booked it? I can't say names, the receptionist said carefully. But it was booked through a phone call. Grandma's lips pressed together. I did not book it. The receptionist's face changed. Her eyes became serious. Then we can mark it as cancelled. We can add a note that we must speak to you directly for anything in the future. Yes, Grandma said. Please do that. When it was done, Grandma stepped outside into the sunlight and stood still for a moment, as if she needed to feel the air to remind herself she was real. Caleb hovered nearby. What now? Grandma looked at him and her eyes were wet but her voice was firm. Now I stopped being confused. She opened her purse and touched the envelope with the bank paper inside. Then she looked back at the clinic door. I won't fight with anger, she said, but I will not be pushed, and I will not sign anything I don't understand. Caleb nodded, wiping his face with his sleeve. Grandma's voice softened. You've helped me more than you know. Caleb whispered, I'm glad I told you. Grandma gave him a small, tired smile. So am I. Then she turned toward home, already thinking about the next safe step, someone calm and smart who could help her sort papers and make a plan. Grandma Grace did not go home right away after the clinic. She walked slowly, letting her feet choose the calmest streets. She wanted people around her. She wanted open air. She wanted the simple sound of life moving on, because it helped her mind stay steady. The whole time, she kept thinking the same thought. If someone is trying to rush me, then I must slow down. When she reached her street, she saw her house from far away. It looked the same as always, small, quiet, and familiar. But Grandma now understood something important. A familiar place can still hold secrets. She went inside and locked the door behind her. Not in a scared way, in a careful way. Like locking a box after you put something important inside. She made tea, but she didn't drink it right away. She sat at the table with both hands wrapped around the warm cup, staring at the steam. Then she took out a small notebook from a drawer. It was an old notebook with a plain cover. Grandma used to write grocery lists in it. Today she turned to a clean page and wrote one word at the top. Truth. Under that she wrote the things she knew. She didn't try to write fancy, she wrote simple and clear. Dream, Noah, plus folder, plus just sign it. Caleb call. Papers plus appointment plus man named Mr. Sloan. Calendar. Friday appointment 11 o'clock. Clinic. Appointment booked under my name, not by me. Bank. Request for new card and access changes, not by me. As she wrote, Grandma felt something shift inside her. The fear didn't disappear, but it stopped running wild. It became smaller. It became something she could hold in her hands, like a stone instead of a storm. Grandma put the notebook in her purse. Then she did another thing that felt hard but necessary. She moved her important papers. She waited until the house was quiet again and checked Noah's room door. It was closed. She did not go inside. She didn't want to play games. She just wanted safety. In her own room, she pulled down the tin box again. She opened it and looked at the papers carefully. She counted them. She checked the edges. Then she placed them into a larger envelope and sealed it. Not because the seal was magic, but because if it was opened again, she would know. Grandma thought about hiding it back in the closet, but she stopped herself. If someone already found it once, they could find it again. So she chose a smarter place. She took the envelope and placed it somewhere Noah would not think to look. Somewhere boring. Somewhere that didn't scream important. After that, Grandma sat down and listened to the house. Her breathing was calmer. Her hands were steadier, but her heart still hurt. Not just because she felt unsafe, because this was her son. She remembered Noah as a little boy with scraped knees. She remembered him crying when he lost a toy. She remembered him running into her arms after a bad day at school. Now he was a grown man and she didn't know what kind of man he had become. Grandma wiped her eyes with the corner of her sleeve, then stood up and picked up her purse. She knew she needed help from someone who understood papers better than she did. Someone calm, someone trained, someone who would not be fooled by a smile. She went to the community centre on the next street over. The building was simple, with a small sign and a few chairs inside. It smelled like clean floors and fresh air. A woman at the desk greeted her warmly. "Hello, Mom, can I help you?" Grandma nodded. "I was told there is someone here who helps older people with paperwork." The woman smiled. "Yes, you want Miss Nia." Miss Nia came out a minute later. She was not loud or pushy. She had a gentle face and steady eyes, the kind of eyes that made you feel safe telling the truth. They sat at a small table, and Nia leaned forward a little and spoke softly. "Tell me what's going on, Grandma Grace. Start wherever you want." Grandma did not tell every detail at once. She told it like she wrote it, one truth at a time. The dream, the call, the appointment, the bank, the pressure to sign. Miss Nia listened without interrupting. When Grandma finished, Miss Nia nodded slowly. "You did the right thing by not signing," Miss Nia said. And you did the right thing by checking the clinic and the bank." Grandma's voice trembled, but she kept it steady. "I don't want to fight my son. I just want to be safe." Miss Nia folded her hands. Safety doesn't have to be a fight. Safety is a plan. Then Miss Nia gave Grandma simple rules, one by one. Rule 1. Don't sign anything when someone is standing over you. Rule 2. If a paper matters, read it with your glasses in good light. If you don't understand it, you ask for help. Rule 3. Keep your important papers somewhere only you know. Rule 4. Make a record of dates, calls and names. Your notebook is good. Rule 5. Spend time around people you trust. It's harder for someone to rush you when you're not alone. Grandma nodded after each rule. Not because she liked needing rules, but because rules made her feel less helpless. Before she left, Miss Nia said, "If anyone tries to pressure you again, you can come here. You can call me. And if you ever feel in danger, you call for help right away. You are not alone." Grandma stood up slowly. Her knees ached, but her spine felt straighter. "Thank you," Grandma said. On the way home, she didn't feel happy, but she felt ready. When she walked into her house, she did one last thing. She put her notebook in the same spot every day, where she could reach it fast. Then she sat down, looked toward the hallway and whispered to herself, "I will stay calm. I will stay careful. And I will not be rushed." Friday came faster than Grandma Grace wanted. She woke up before the sun and for a moment she lay still and listened. The house was quiet, but her mind was loud. She sat up, put on her slippers, and walked to the kitchen. She made tea the same way she always did, 1 spoon of sugar, a small stir, steam rising. She kept her hands steady on purpose. Today she reminded herself, "I will not be rushed." After breakfast, she opened her purse and checked 3 things like a little checklist. Her reading glasses, her notebook, the envelope with the bank paper. All there. She also had another paper now. The clinic note that showed an appointment was made in her name. Miss Nia had helped her write down the date and what the receptionist said. Grandma had kept it neat and clear. She placed the papers together in a simple folder. Nothing fancy. Just proof. Stacked in order. At around 10, Aunt Noah came into the living room. He wore a clean shirt like he was going somewhere important. He smelled like aftershave. He smiled at Grandma, but his smile looked tight. "Mom," he said, "we've got that appointment today." Grandma looked up from her tea. "What appointment?" Noah blinked like he didn't expect her to ask. "The one on the calendar." "I saw the calendar," Grandma said, "but I didn't write that." Noah's smile flickered, then returned. "It's for your own good. You'll see. It's simple." Grandma didn't argue. She didn't shout. She just nodded once, slow. "All right," she said, "but I will be reading anything you put in front of me." Noah's eyes narrowed for half a second. "Of course," he said too quickly. Then he checked his phone again and again, like he was waiting for someone. At exactly 10:30, there was a knock on the door. Noah's head lifted fast. That must be him. Grandma's stomach tightened. Noah opened the door. An Andaman stepped inside like he owned the air. He was tall and neat. His shoes were clean. His hair was combed perfectly. He carried a slim briefcase and wore a bright smile. "Mrs. Grace," the man said warmly, holding out his hand. "I'm Mr. Sloane. It's a pleasure." Grandma did not take his hand right away. She looked at his face. His smile was wide, but his eyes felt cold, like marbles. She gave him a small, polite nod instead. "Hello." Mr. Sloane didn't look bothered. Yet he walked farther into the room and glanced around, noticing everything. The shelves, the family photo, the old curtains. "Lovely home," he said. "So cozy, so full of memories." Grandma's fingers tightened around her teacup. Noah pulled a chair out for Mr. Sloane. "Sit, sit. We can do this quickly." Quickly. That word hit Grandma like a warning bell. Mr. Sloane opened his briefcase and pulled out papers. He set them on the table in a clean stack. Then he placed a pen on top, right where it was easy to grab. "Now," Mr. Sloane said in a sweet voice, "this is all very simple. Just a few signatures. It will make things easier for your son, and it will keep you safe." Grandma kept her face calm. "Safe how?" Mr. Sloane tilted his head, like he was speaking to a child. "Sometimes, older people get tired. Sometimes, they forget things. Families need support." Grandma's cheeks warmed with anger, but she didn't let it out. Noah leaned closer. "Mom, it's fine. Just sign. We'll go get lunch after." Grandma looked at the papers. She saw the same thing she saw on Noah's paper before, a blank line at the bottom, waiting. Grandma reached into her purse and took out her reading glasses. Mr. Sloane chuckled softly. "Oh, you really don't need those." Grandma put the glasses on anyway. Then she asked very clearly, "Why does this talk about my home and my choices?" Noah's face stiffened. "It's just words, legal stuff." "Words matter," Grandma said. "Mister," and Sloane tapped the paper with one finger. "Mrs. Grace, there's no reason to worry. Let's not make this harder than it needs to be." Grandma lifted her eyes and looked straight at him. "Harder for who?" Mr. Sloane's smile froze for a tiny moment. Noah spoke fast. "Mum, please don't do this." Grandma sat back in her chair. She slowly took off her glasses and placed them on the table. Then she took out her folder. Noah's eyes went to it like a hungry dog seeing food. Her grandma opened the folder and pulled out the first paper, the bank printout. She slid it across the table toward Noah and Mr. Sloane. "This was done without me," Grandma said. "A new card request. Access changes. I did not ask for this." Noah's mouth opened, then closed. His face went pale. Mr. Sloane tried to laugh. "Banks make mistakes all the time." Grandma raised her hand gently, not loud, just firm. "Let me finish." She placed the clinic note on top of the bank paper. And this," she said, "was an appointment booked in my name. I did not book it." Noah stared at the papers like they were snakes. Mr. Sloane's smile shrank. "We're only trying to help." Grandma put down her notebook next. "This is my record," she said. "Dates, names, what happened, what I found, what was said." Noah's breathing changed, faster, sharp. Mr. Sloane's voice became tight. "Mrs. Grace, you're misunderstanding." A voice spoke from behind them. "I'm not." Everyone turned. Caleb stood in the doorway. He looked scared, but he stood straight. His hands were shaking, yet he didn't hide them. He stepped forward slowly, like he was walking into a storm on purpose. "I heard the plan," Caleb said. "I saw messages about the appointment and the papers." Noah's face snapped toward Caleb. "What are you doing here?" Caleb flinched, but he didn't back away. "I'm telling the truth." The room went very quiet. Even the clock seemed louder now. Tick, tick, tick. "Mr." Sloane's lips pressed into a thin line. His friendly voice was gone. Grandma looked at Noah, and her eyes were wet, but her voice stayed steady. "No more rushing," she said. "No more lies, and no more papers." Mr. Sloane stood up slowly, smoothing his shirt like he was trying to keep control. "This meeting is clearly not productive," Grandma nodded once. "Then it's over." Mr. Sloane picked up his briefcase. He didn't look at Grandma again. He walked out with a stiff back. Noah stayed frozen in his chair, staring at the table. Grandma closed her folder and held it close, like a shield made of truth. Then she said softly but clearly, "Noah, we are going to talk, but not like this. Not with pressure. Not with strangers as at my table." Noah didn't answer. Caleb stood beside Grandma, quiet and trembling, and for the first time in days, Grandma felt something stronger than fear. She felt control returning to her hands. Noah sat at the table like his body had forgotten how to move. His coffee cup was still there, half full, getting cold. The pen Mr. Sloane brought was still on the table too, lying on its side like it had lost its power. Grandma Grace stayed standing for a moment. Her legs felt shaky, but her voice did not. She looked at Caleb first. The boy's face was pale, and his eyes were wide like he was waiting for someone to shout at him. Grandma placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Thank you," she said softly. "You can sit if you want." Caleb nodded and sat down carefully, like he didn't want to make noise. Then Grandma turned to Noah. She didn't yell. She didn't call him names. She didn't throw anything. She just said, "Tell me the truth." Noah's eyes flicked toward the door, like he was hoping Mr. Sloane would come back and rescue him. But the door stayed closed. The house stayed quiet. There was nowhere to hide now. Noah's shoulders sagged. I didn't want it to go like this, he muttered. Grandma sat across from him. She folded her hands in her lap so he could see they weren't shaking. How did you want it to go? Noah swallowed. I wanted you to sign. Then it would be done. Grandma's throat tightened, but she kept her words simple. Done for who? Noah looked away. His jaw worked like he was chewing something hard. For me? Grandma nodded slowly. Why? Noah pressed his palms against the table. I owe money, he said, his voice low. A lot. I thought I could fix it fast. Grandma's eyes stung. So you tried to use my home? Noah flinched. I didn't mean it like that. Grandma's voice stayed calm. But that is what it is. Noah's face twisted like he wanted to argue, but the proof on the table stopped him. The bank paper, the clinic note, Grandma's notebook, Caleb's presence. Noah's voice broke a little. I felt trapped, Mum. Grandma's expression softened for half a second. She loved him. That love didn't vanish in one day, but love also didn't mean she had to let him take control of her life. She leaned forward. When you feel trapped, you ask for help. You do not trick me. Noah stared at the tabletop. I knew you'd say no. And you were right, Grandma said, because it's wrong. Caleb cleared his throat softly. Noah, you told me she wouldn't understand, but she understands. She's not helpless. Noah looked up at Caleb with anger for a moment, and then the anger faded into shame. I know, he whispered. I know. Grandma took a slow breath. She wanted to cry. She wanted to scream. But she chose something else. She chose a clear line. Noah, she said, listen to me carefully. I am your mother. I love you, but I am not your tool. Noah's eyes got wet. Mum. Grandma lifted her hand. No, let me finish. She opened her notebook again and pointed to the list she had written. I will protect myself, she said, from anyone, even from family. Noah's lips parted. He looked like a child caught doing something he knows is wrong. Grandma spoke in simple steps, one by one, so there could be no confusion. First, she said, you will not bring Mr. Sloane back here. Not today. Not ever. Noah nodded slowly. Second, Grandma continued, you will not ask me to sign anything again without letting me read it in good light with my glasses and with someone I trust helping me. Noah nodded again, slower. Third, Grandma said, you will not make appointments in my name. Noah swallowed. Okay. Grandma's voice stayed steady. Fourth, you will tell me the full truth about this debt, how it happened, and what you have done already. Noah's face tightened. I'm embarrassed. Grandma didn't move. Embarrassment does not protect me. Truth does. Noah nodded once, hard. Okay. Then Grandma paused. This next part felt heavy. Fifth, she said. There will be consequences. Noah's eyes widened. Mum, please. Grandma shook her head gently. Noah, you tried to take away my choice. You tried to make me look confused, so I would obey you. That is not a small thing. Noah's shoulders began to shake. Tears slipped down his face. Grandma's eyes filled too, but she didn't let her tears wash away her boundaries. You will fix what you can, Grandma said. You will cancel anything you started. And if anyone calls me about papers, I will say the truth. Noah wiped his face quickly. I'll fix it. I swear. Grandma leaned back and watched him. Then she turned to Caleb. Caleb, she said gently, you did something brave. Adults don't always like brave truth, but brave truth is still right. Caleb's eyes watered again. I thought you'd hate me. Grandma reached out and squeezed his hand. Never. You helped me keep my life in my own hands. Caleb nodded, breathing out like he had been holding his breath for days. Noah stared at Caleb, then at Grandma. His voice was quiet. You trusted him more than me. Grandma answered softly. I trusted the truth more than the lie. That sentence sat in the room like a weight. Noah finally looked up, really looked at her. I didn't think I would become this person, he whispered. Grandma's voice softened but stayed firm. Then don't stay this person. Noah nodded, tears dropping onto the table. I'll change. Grandma stood up slowly. And change starts with actions. She picked up her folder of proof and held it close. I'm going to the community centre, she said. Ms. Nia will help me make sure nothing else can be done behind my back. Noah started to stand. I'll come with you. Grandma held up a hand. Not today. Today, I need space. Noah stopped. Grandma moved toward the door, then paused and looked back at him. Noah, she said, if you need help, you can ask me. But the answer might be no. And you must accept that. Noah nodded with his head down. I understand. Grandma turned to Caleb. Would you like to walk with me to the corner? Just until I'm outside? Caleb stood up right away. Yes, Grandma. They walked out together. The sunlight hit Grandma's face, warm and real. She took a deep breath. For the first time in days, the air didn't feel like it was pressing down on her. At the sidewalk, Grandma stopped and looked at her home. It was still her home. Not a prize, not a payment. Her home. She whispered, I'm still me. Then she looked at the viewer, as if speaking to someone listening closely. If you ever feel rushed to sign something, Grandma said, slow down, read, ask for help, and trust your instincts. And then she gave a gentle, clear call to action. If you want to hear more stories like mine, stories that teach you how to protect yourself and stand strong, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support helps these lessons reach the right people.